Good evening and welcome back to the OLE In Show. I mean, relax, I'm just kidding. It's the Chelsea versus Manchester United match reaction. I think I'm delighted with the result, as many of you lot will be. Joining me as usual, Shawnee and Rita. Let's get straight into it, gentlemen. First question, how are you feeling about today's result and how we played? And what does this game mean to you?
This game was very big. It was a must-win if there was any chance of the so-called top four race in the Premier League. In terms of how happy I'm extremely happy. Tactically, I don't think it was good though. I think today was a lot of individual brilliance and certain individual players that got us out of trouble today. And VAR also. Hey, VAR, thank you. And Batshuayi, thank you for being shite. And yeah, but overall, I'm so happy. I nearly jumped off my chair also when Igalo was going to score with his second touch.
I think we all almost went crazy. I agree. I think it was an important game. We had to win it. And overall, I think we played quite well. I think first half, mostly at the start, we were quite poor, to be honest. I think the system was kind of suffocating the attack because most of our play was happening in Chelsea's half, or in our own half, right? Not Chelsea's half, in our own half. And the ball was just not getting to our flair players, so they couldn't really do anything about it. Hence, we didn't really have much shots on target. We still scored because, as Sheeny said, individual brilliance. But I think our first half was quite average. Second half, actually it was one of our best second halves of the season. I think the tempo was great. It looked like we had an actual plan, and it looked like we were outshining Chelsea in every single department. Hence, we closed out the result.
I actually completely disagree. Going into halftime, firstly, we were 1-0 up. Secondly, we had more possession. And thirdly, we actually kept our shape and the game was evenly poised. I think in the second half, United dropped off. And I think Chelsea lost their heads a bit, especially after Maguire got the goal. And that's why they couldn't do anything in their final third. And they've been having problems going forward in the last 9 games as well, actually. So I'm not surprised they struggled, but I completely disagree with what you're saying.
I agree with what you're saying with Chelsea, but I think first half defensively, actually thought the whole game defensively were great. But I think going forward in the second half, it was quite consistent. It was rotation after rotation, and we were going forward consistently, which we weren't doing in the first half. There was a few moments where Fernandes and I think Fred had a 1-2, and it was like that was it.
But I'm not saying we were more defensive or more attacking in either half. I'm saying personally, from my point of view, the first half was better because it was more evenly poised. I think the reason why Manchester United started getting more opportunities in the second half was because Chelsea lost their heads a bit, dropped off, lost their shape, and were trying to get back into the game. And I think Chelsea actually had 13 shots at goal. Correct me if I'm wrong. Most of them came in the second half. Chelsea were very busy in that second half. I don't think Manchester United had an amazing second half. I think the second half was just about hitting them on the break every time we got the ball. As usual.
And I don't completely agree, but I agree in terms of Chelsea. I think with Chelsea, attacking and finishing off in the 18 area has been the big problem. They play beautiful football. They create a lot of chances, but they can't take those chances. And defensively, they are very weak. So ultimately, we were going to score.
It's funny because most Manchester United fans, based on what you guys have been saying over the last few weeks, it seems like they'd rather be on the other side of the fence because people have often said we don't mind if we lose, but we play good football. I don't know. I think I disagree with that, especially tonight. That 2-0 scoreline is all that matters to me. I really don't care how we played. We beat Chelsea, and I'm delighted for that. But that's a topic for another day. It's interesting. Different opinions. That's what fan opinion is about. You guys' thoughts on the VAR drama?
Yeah. I hate VAR. But today, oh my God. The offside was offside on Giroud's goal. The foul, that was a bit soft on Chelsea's side. I would have let that goal stood. The Maguire one was also very interesting. Looking back on it, I thought it was also possibly a sending off. Yeah, so again, when the VAR did come and save us today, I still had my questions. I felt very bad. I felt like if I was a Chelsea fan today, I would have disagreed a lot. But yeah, it's just one of those things, I guess. Today it's on our side.
That's still not VAR's problem, though. That's the Premier League's rules problems. And this whole stupid, clear and obvious premise, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What's clear and obvious? When does a push become clear and obvious? Is it when you've got both hands on the guy? What about Fred? Fred pushed Aspilicueta before he pushed whoever the United player was that went down. That's not VAR's problem. That's a problem with football's rules, which has been it's been a problem for eternity. Even before VAR, there was questions about whether things are penalties or not because it's either too soft, it's either too hard, or it's in that grey area and nobody knows. So it's up to who can pay the referee sometimes.
Yeah, it was a tough game for Chelsea. Like I was saying to my cousin, Monday Blues, which was a pun that worked really well with Chelsea being the Blues. I think with that push, it is down to FIFA's rules in general, because what are the rules on if someone else pushes and you go into another player? Well, how do you interpret it? So VAR did save us today, but the interpretation is very fuzzy, and I think maybe that should have stood. The offside, the Drew's offside, that was a clear offside, and I think Maguire was very lucky not to go off. So VAR did save.
Willian also got wrongly accused of simulation as well. I think everybody forgot about that because of all the drama. But Willian got booked for simulation.
When I looked at it, it looked like it was a dive as well. I didn't really see.
I don't think so. I think Bruno Fernandes actually went into Willian's leg, and that disrupted his momentum. And I don't mean to sound like a Mr. Know-it-all, but if you know anything about judo, when somebody's coming at you with full momentum, you don't need that much to get them off their balance. In fact, you just need to hit a pressure point, and I think that's what Bruno Fernandes was able to do to Willian. Yes, the dive would have looked a bit exaggerated, but that's what happens when you're running at full speed and somebody just clips you, just even a little bit, just a little touch. That happens, and I think anybody who's been in that situation would.
I think he clipped it. Football is very dramatic, and you can see with Williams' reaction that he knew that he did exaggerate the attack.
Okay, he tried to make the most of it, and and if that's why the referee is booking him, then that's fine. But I mean, football players make the most of it all the time. I remember when Rudiger made the most of Son kicking him in the thigh, and Son got sent off. So where's the consistency? Was Rudiger not being exaggerated? Was he not exaggerating when Son got sent off? So where's the consistency? Firstly, secondly, surely the emphasis should be put on the foul and not whether or not the guy's exaggerating. A lot of people like to accuse people for simulation, but the reason why football players do what they do is because they know that if they don't go down and make it clear and obvious. There we go again with the stupid phrase, clear and obvious. It's not going to get given. And yes, there are the Neymars in this world who dive. There are the Neymars in this world who dive. But there's players who genuinely do it to try and get the free kick. And that's the modern way. Who doesn't make the most of a challenge?
What I think happened in the incident, VAR can't do anything about that because it's not in the 18 area. So it's not a VAR matter, one. And two, I think the ref legitimately thought it was a dive. He didn't think he wasn't booking him for exaggerating. He legitimately thought it was a dive.
Yeah, when I first looked at it, as the run of play was going on, I thought it was a penalty. And then when I looked at it in the replay, I thought it wasn't really a penalty.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a penalty because firstly it was outside the box anyways. So I don't think it was a free kick either because I do think it was a bit soft. But to say Willian dived is false because he was touched. Like, you can say he made the most of it, but I don't think he can say he dived because diving implies that there was no contact at all. And so what I'm trying to say is, where do you draw the line? Because people make the most of things all the time.
It's very fast. I think
Rudiger did it against Son when Son was on the ground, and he basically nudged his studs into Rudiger's close to his midsection, and Rudiger made the most of it. Now, Son didn't really kick him, but he got sent off. He got a red card for that. It was in the Chelsea versus Tottenham game a few weeks ago. It could have been last year, actually. I'm not sure how long ago it was. But long story short, what I'm saying is the whole grey area and clear and obvious thing is just it causes a lot of debate, and a lot of the attention gets taken away from that, and it gets put on other things. And that's just the way I feel.
It is
with regard to that.
I think if it happened in the box, it was going to be down to it wasn't clear and obvious. Nothing was going to happen. I don't think Willie would have even gotten a card. So the football rules are very fuzzy.
That's true. It's strange. Shall we get into the play ratings then? David De Gea, out of 10.
7, kept a clean sheet, didn't have much, didn't have anything really to do. So yeah.
Well, actually, you might as well have held up a big sign saying we're closed today. Sorry, we're not open on Mondays. Try again next week.
Yeah, like I didn't actually realize until you said he basically did nothing in that game. So there were a few chances, but again, Chelsea didn't take their chances. They just kept shooting wide and it was almost, but they never actually got there. So it's hard to give him a 7, but he didn't do anything wrong. So I'm gonna give him a 6.5.
I think Giroud will be salty that he didn't get brought on earlier because Batshuayi was
I was also,
poor.
I was thinking the same thing. If I was Giroud, so
Yeah.
I'd be mad.
I think
My
Giroud
cousin
would have been
was-
very salty. Yeah, well, anyways, I really don't care about Chelsea. Sorry if you're a Chelsea fan, but I have no sympathy because I'm selfish and I'm delighted. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, out of 10.
Oof. 9 out of 10. This guy is a
Yeah.
beast. Defensively, madness. Absolutely madness. Saved us a lot of times where Chelsea could have had a very good chance at getting a goal. And going forward, he ended Willian's career. Oh no. Sent him right, sent him left, and then it was disaster. It was what a cross. That was like it was mad. But yeah, I think
He's
Wan
done that
Bissaka.
before, sorry to cut you off, but I have to defend Wan-Bissaka here, and I know you're not attacking him, obviously. I'm just talking to the Wan-Bissaka critics. Wan-Bissaka's done this before. He's hit that exact ball, obviously not in the exact trajectory, but he's hit balls into similar areas, and there's been no one there.
Exactly.
And we're all sat there after the game like, this guy crossed like 5 times, but it didn't land to anyone. Well, yeah, because no one's making the runs. So Martial finally got his head on the end of that ball, and look what happened.
Yep, exactly.
Even if
Yeah.
Martial had missed, that was still a good cross.
Yeah, and Wan Bissaka is like my favorite United player at the moment. He's definitely my player of the season so far. And it's performances like this where I'm like, I don't have to even defend him. He's world class.
Yeah, no, he has been improving in that department. But like the comment I was saying is that it doesn't seem natural. You can't blame him for that. But it does seem like he has to put so much effort into it. So
He's robotic.
I
He's
guess-
very robotic when he
Yeah.
runs forward.
I guess I was about to have him when he was hitting that cross. Like, why are you making this more difficult? Just hit it first time, but I didn't say it. I held myself, and he crossed and beautiful cross. So yeah, and defensively, you need I think one crucial tackle, 2 crucial tackles.
Look,
so
You can
he
be
had
a
really
little
good
bit cynical.
game. He was an eight.
You can be a little bit cynical though. It was Willian defending. Like to call him world class after that cross is it's a bit much. Like would he have
Yeah,
done that if there was a player like Wan-Bissaka defending him? Like if there was a Danny Carvajal or Marcelo or an actual left back defending him? That if you want to be cynical, that's what I would say, because the little turn that he did before I thought was very unnecessary. I thought he was going to mess it up, to be honest. When he did the turn one way and then he turned the other way again and then he still somehow managed to hit it. And I thought, Willian, mate, just put your foot in.
What defines world class for a right back? Why is Trent world class but not Wan-Bissaka not world class?
I think he's world class
The-
also because of his defending though.
No, I think Trent is a world-class centre-back because he's playing in a team that's very, very, very good at the moment, and he's proven himself against the best of the best. The problem with Wan-Bissaka is we haven't seen him in the Champions League. We haven't seen Wan-Bissaka make game-winning tackles in the most crucial moments like a world-class player would. That's the problem with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He played at Crystal Palace and he's only been at Manchester United for 6 months, and he's got 1 assist. So you can't compare him to Trent Alexander-Arnold in that regard. You can compare them in terms of ability, but Trent he's just, when you play in a team like Liverpool, you're obviously going to get more attention and more, I guess that's a privilege of playing in such a good team. He's so good going forward, and he's such a crucial part of a team that's actually won the Champions League that makes him world class. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is playing at a team where his abilities aren't being recognized, and that's unfortunate because it's where the team are, but also it's because he hasn't played there long enough. And I don't think you can call him world class just yet, or make an objective argument. I mean, you can call him world class if you want, that's your opinion, but I don't think you can make an objective argument yet because he hasn't proven himself at the highest level yet.
Okay, I guess that's fair, but it's so
Can he
much
get
like
an
football.
assist against a Liverpool, against a Madrid, against a Barca? We don't know because he hasn't played against Madrid and Barca. We don't know yet.
Okay, I guess it's a fair analysis.
Yeah, and like, dude, it's Willian. Willian was defending. Like, it's Willian. Like,
No, I
I
wasn't
don't mean to
referring
be
to that.
cynical.
I wasn't referring to the attack. I was referring more to his defense. Whereas Trent,
Defensively,
really crap.
That's the thing, though. Because Trent plays next to Virgil van Dijk,
I
he
know,
doesn't need to be good.
I agree with what you're saying.
No. I'm just explaining. I'm explaining for anyone who's listening who might be thinking I'm being unfair towards Wan-Bissaka. If you think Wan-Bissaka is better than Trent defensively, cool, but Trent plays for Liverpool, so he can get away with not being a good defender, and he's a part of a system that makes him world class. That's basically what I'm saying. That's what I think. Because I don't think we'd be calling Trent Alexander-Arnold world class if he was playing at Crystal Palace. I don't, because I think he'd get exposed defensively. I think because he plays at Liverpool, he's allowed to get away with it. And I think it's vice versa with Wan-Bissaka, right? Like if Wan-Bissaka crosses that ball and there's no one on the end of it, we're calling him shit again. But if he plays in a team where people actually run and get on the end of his crosses, all of a sudden he's good going forward and he's amazing defensively. All of a sudden he's world class. You get my drift? I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
No, definitely.
I think I'm just going to be too biased at the end of it.
Yeah, because he's living up his ass. What do you give him out of 10?
I gave him a 9. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Give him a 9. I give him a 8.
Yeah.
A 9 and a 9 unanimously. Imagine.
8.
Oh, 8. Sorry, you cut off there. I assumed you said 9. Anyways, I think 8's a bit harsh. I think he deserves a 9. Let me be honest. I'm joking. Who was playing next to him? It was who was? Oh yeah, it was Bailey. I forgot because I was too focused on other things. But Bailey was also pretty good, actually.
I'll let me go first.
Oh, I'm going first.
Yeah, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, it was one of those performances. Now I said the other day that by all form, disaster. Penalty waiting to happen. But it was one of those games where it was on form and he just looked like Superman. Honestly,
it's not Bailey, it's Beckenbauer, boys.
I think Bailey on form makes Lindelof look like a child. And I know that comes across as maybe extreme, but I do think he's that good. So if by some miracle we can keep him fit and playing him next to Maguire, that'd be amazing. But he had a really good game. There was one tackle, one daring tackle that no one else would make. So he had a really good performance and he was quite solid. I think he deserves a 7.
Now, this is interesting because I was hearing everyone saying that Bailly was good from United point, but from what I watched, I actually thought he was horrible. Okay, maybe not horrible, but bad, because I counted 3-4 times that he had major errors leading to Chelsea being in a position to score a goal. And defensively, I thought it was the rust. I didn't think he looked as solid as I've seen Bailly before. And the things he was doing when he was on the ball, like, yeah, he got away with it, but running in circle 3 times and then going out, it just looked like he was a bit, it looked like a bit of match rust to me.
That's interesting because I think everyone at that point, and I don't know what Reta thinks on this, but Gary Neville said it when I was watching the game. The other guy who was commentating with Gary Neville said it, and I was saying it in my head. I was like, wow, composure. He just turned a striker inside out. So it's funny you say that. I think you were just sitting on the edge of your seat thinking, clear the ball. But he's actually gone on and dribbled past someone. And you thought perhaps that was stupid, but I think it was brilliant. So maybe that's just a difference in opinion. But I get it. I get it. I don't think Bailly was amazing.
Like, he's extreme like that.
That's the thing. I was also going to say that to defend Eric Bailly, like, Eric Bailly's going to make mistakes. That's the kind of defender he is. Like, he's going to make mistakes because of how he plays. He's a very last-ditch kind of guy. It's funny because somebody a few days ago when I was watching the United stand said that imagine if Aaron Wan-Bissaka played in centre-back, and somebody made a valid response to that. If Aaron Wan-Bissaka played as a centre-back, he'd probably make more mistakes than he does on the right-back. If you look at the tackles that Aaron Wan-Bissaka makes, he wouldn't get away with them if he was a centre-back. He's allowed to go down and slide tackle and make those rash challenges on Sterling and get them. His timing is impeccable and he's world-class at it. But when you're a centre-back, there's more space for the guy to go around you. So if you go down and you commit right, the guy can go left. Whereas if you're a right back, there's only one way the guy can go. He's trying to cross it into the box or he's trying to cut in. So it's a lot easier to cut him off. And I think it's kind of the same with Bailly. The kind of challenges he makes, he's a very high risk, high reward kind of defender. And that's what you're going to get.
They are very similar. And
they are.
I feel like he really only made mistakes like the first 10 minutes. After that, he got to grips with it.
I don't know, yeah, but I guess it's a difference of opinion. I mean, it's all about opinion. So, Shawnee, what are you giving him?
6 average.
Not bad. I think he was pretty average as well, because and that I'm not saying that Bailey didn't have a good game or anything. I guess I expect more from Bailey, and I didn't see enough because there was so much happening. So maybe I'm being unfair.
I feel like in the second half, I saw a partnership that really complements each other, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know. There was just so much happening in the game that I really wasn't focused on the defense at all, to be honest with you, personally. So, but I think generally our defense as a whole, and we'll get to the rest in a bit, had a very good game. I think they kept their shape. And although Chelsea should have scored a couple of chances, Chelsea didn't score the chances that they needed to score. And there were moments where I thought Chelsea just couldn't break us down and they were starting to get frustrated. Yeah. Particularly in that first half. And then after we scored, they just lost their heads. But anywho, Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire gets 8 from me. I waited the whole season for that goal. That exact goal. Not the one at Tranmere. A goal where it was a corner, delicious cross on his head, and it just goes in the back of the net. And he almost had a second in one of the free kicks Bruno took. And you know that's exactly why we're bringing these type of players for those situations. And I thought it's moments like that will win us a game, despite us not having maybe a system and stuff, like things like that can win you a game. And I'm just happy by it. He kept the clean sheet. I thought he was the most solid in the centre back out of the 3 centre backs today. So yeah, no complaints about Harry Maguire. Even the one mistake that led from Eric Bailly that led them 1-on-1, he came back and made a crunching tackle and just cleared it. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want from Harry Maguire. So 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I want to say something very controversial, but I'll leave it till we're done with the player ratings. You can go.
I agree 100%. I think defensively he was spot on. He was probably the best centre back on the pitch today, and didn't really make any mistakes. He was clean, and the header, that's one of the reasons we bought him. So I'm really happy that he's finally scored a header. And after that, it seemed like he was getting to every header. But props that's given to Bruno Fernandes as well. But we'll get there. So I think he deserves an 8.
Captain, my captain, Luke Shaw out of 10.
I'm going to give Luke Shaw a 7. I thought he was pretty average there. I thought that centre back he has been great at before in the past games, but I thought today he was a bit off it. I thought that it looked like he wasn't sure that he was playing centre back, because I seen him so many times so close to Williams on being the left wing back that he was thinking that there was still 4 at the back. But he kept the clean sheet. He did make crucial tackles as well and crucial blocks. So yeah, 7.
I feel like he was instructed to do that, to be honest.
Yeah, he might have been, eh? I think he did push up a lot, but our defense could handle it, so I guess it's fine. And I didn't really see too many mistakes for him, so I think 6.5.
I think he was worse than Bailey in terms of actually being in the game, because I did not notice that Luke Shaw was playing for a very long time in that game. And again, that's not because he played badly, it's just that my attention wasn't focused on him because he didn't do anything that made me think, oh, Luke Shaw's playing, wow. He's the reason we haven't conceded. But yeah, I think, just to respond to what Shawnee said there, well, obviously I don't know. This is just speculation. I don't have any info on the team, but I think Luke Shaw was just trying to give Brandon Williams a hand, and I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer probably told them to try double down on Chelsea, because I saw quite a few instances where 2 United players were pressing together. In fact, I saw it even in Chelsea's half. I saw Bruno Fernandes and Martial running very close to each other, trying to press down Rudiger, and it nearly worked, but Chelsea had an extra man because they know how to play with triangles. But yeah, I don't know. Get down in the comments. Really want to hear your opinions. Brandon Williams out of 10.
It's a tricky one. I wanted to give him an 8, but I think I'm gassing him up too much. So I'm going to give him a 7. I think he's definitely my first choice left back. At his young age, he shows so much more. It looks like he's played way longer than Luke Shaw. It looks like he's more confident than Luke Shaw, has better leadership skills than Luke Shaw, going forward better than Luke Shaw, defensively better than Luke Shaw. And yeah, this kid is just, I can't fault him again. I just can't. And today he had tough opposition to go up against. He had Chelsea's young right back. I can't remember, James, who's very good. And yeah, he had to deal with the attackers as well. So Yeah, 7 out of 10. Kept the clean sheet, kept his cool, showed fight, showed determination, didn't do anything silly.
Yeah. I don't think he's better defensively than Shaw. I think Shaw is better. I think Shaw is very experienced, and he shows the experience when he defends. He's very young, but I just do think he's experienced in his defending. I think going forward, he definitely trumps Shaw. There was a lot of opportunities where he could have passed the ball, but he was able to carry the ball and make so much space for us. So maybe it wasn't one of his best performances, but it was quite solid. Like for his age, he has so many solid performances is amazing. So I think he deserves a 7.
7 and a 7. Can I be honest? I think if Brandon Williams is playing as a left-sided centre back, he'd be very horrible compared to Shaw.
Yeah.
So I think Shaw is definitely better defensively. But going forward, Brandon Williams is a case against Luke Shaw. He's more energetic. He runs a lot more. He can get into tight spaces. And he seems to have a very natural game sense that a lot of United players lack, or footballing IQ, if you want to call it that, compared to Luke Shaw, which has to do with going forward and keeping possession, I guess. So, yeah, going forward, I think he's better than Shaw. But defensively, I have to disagree. I just have to disagree. It's a tough one with Brandon Williams because he's so inexperienced. Maybe we'll have this debate. We'll hash this debate again 2 or 3 seasons from now, when he's actually getting games in a team that should be winning. But Matic out of 10.
I thought Matic was good defensively. I think when he had to go forward and pick passes, he was horrible today. Like the passing was a lot poorer than usual. Usually he puts in a few good passes, but today I just don't think he had it. But yeah, defensively I thought he was very solid. Like I thought when he was off the ball and he had to pick up a man or pick up a space or something, he did very well. And he stuck in his foot and he won the ball. And then he gets it out and it looks for a pass. So I thought Matic I thought he was average, so 6 out of 10.
One time I literally saw Matic pass the ball to a Chelsea player, but that was just one mistake.
Yeah, I think going forward, for the first time in a while, I think Fred had a better game than him. But defensively, he was solid because he's always solid defensively. It's in the past few weeks, so to say. But yeah, and yeah, he just had a solid game. I can't really fault him. So I think he deserves a 6.5.
He played like a CDM today, like a proper CDM, for once. Yeah, actually, that's probably because Bruno's here and he doesn't need to do the work going forward. That's probably what it is. Because if Pereira was playing in this game, you probably would have seen Matic running all the way into the box, trying to run past 4 Chelsea players like he always does when Pereira is playing. So I think a lot of that had to do with Bruno Fernandes being here.
I feel like the whole back line and the 2 defensive players really struggled to get the ball to Bruno Fernandes and the players in front of him in the first half, which is why I think we were a bit poor in our first half.
Yes, that's true. But also, I think because Bruno Fernandes is in the team, Matic... let me put it this way. Even if we weren't playing this defensively, I still don't think Matic would have had a better offensive game. I think he would have had the freedom to actually do his job as a CDM. And I think Fred and Bruno would have been more than enough to create chances for Manchester United. Because I think the reason why Matic has been so involved going forward is the same reason why Fred is so involved going forward. Because we don't have a number 10 who's involved going forward until now, until Bruno came. If you look at all the games where Lingard, Pereira, or someone else started in the number 10 role, Matic and Fred always had to compensate because they had no ideas. So Matic and Fred always had to come next to them like, hey, if you don't know what to do, just side pass it to me and I'll play a diagonal ball to Dan James or Rashford on the wing. And now those options, firstly, those 2 wing options aren't there because we're playing a back 5. But also on top of that, there's just a lack of quality in this team. And so Fred and Matic would have had to do a lot more. And I think because Bruno Fernandes is here now today, specifically, Matic didn't have to really do much going forward. Even if he wanted to, he didn't have to. There was no reason for Matic to run forward when Bruno Fernandes was going forward with the ball. Like, we didn't need Matic. I don't think we did. I think it works with him sitting back and Fred being the box to box.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I really do. I think the problem today is exactly what you were saying. You hit it hammer on the head. we had too many players in our own half, and there was nothing going forward. We had too many players in our own half. If we had wingers, I think this back five could work. But I don't know. Actually, no. Let me rephrase that. Sorry. If Brandon Williams and Wan-Bissaka were better wing backs, rather,
Definitely,
it could work.
Definitely,
It could work.
that's how the system works. A lot of it is to do with the wing backs.
Yeah, goal came from the wing back today, so you know. Anyways, moving on. Fred, out of 10.
Take me to church at night. I'm joking. Pastor Frederick today. Man of the match, 10 out of 10. I don't give a fuck. This guy won us the game. Won us the game from midfield. Bossed it. Absolutely bossed it. Won everything. Every time he pressed, he won the fucking ball. This guy is releasing it on time. Put Igalo through. He put everyone through on goal today. Today, it was like we didn't even need a Bruno. We didn't even need a Matic. This guy did everything. Fred did everything for us. It was ridiculous. I thought Fred was mental today, and I think, yeah, it was. We haven't given Fred the best of ratings over the past few games, but today, I think that break. I think it's because Fred was a bit tired, and I think that break it showed that Fred is back, and that performance was mad. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I think the break really helped him. I think it seemed like he was playing a bit further forward today. It seemed like he was playing a little bit of an 8.
Yeah, he pressed a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Box to box next to Bruno, and Matic was just sitting. It works.
I don't think he was completely next to Bruno, but he was just behind him, operating left and right in that center period, position. And
Center mid.
passes, the link up, it was really good. I think it was one of the best we've seen from Fred. So I think it deserves a 7.
That's interesting. Bruno Fernandes, out of 10.
Oof! Thank goodness we got. You know, Bruno, he was having a quiet game because obviously he didn't get the ball much. But when he is on the ball, when he does have opportunity, it just shows he doesn't need. He takes those small chances because he's got that much quality. He just needs moments like that. And again, that cross to Maguire, waited the whole season for that. It only took us Bruno Fernandes to put a corner in to get that goal, and it finally came. And then he put in a free kick. Maguire could have had another one, unfortunate. And then he had another free kick in which he hit the post. So I thought Bruno was pretty. I think Bruno is going to develop into an amazing player for us, and I think it just shows what a quality player we have here at United, and we shouldn't take it for granted. So I think Bruno is good, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. I thought in the first half it wasn't happening much because the ball wasn't getting to him, but he looked so hungry. He really wanted the ball, and I was telling my cousin, it's like a really good player in a team that's just not on his level. So it was really sad to watch in some parts of the first half. But like as it went on, he grabbed hold of that midfield, his passes. He released the ball first time. I think there was this one where they passed him, he released it at the same time, and Martial was open.
Yeah, I remember. I know which one you're talking about. Where they played that 1-2 and they took out like 3 Chelsea players.
Yeah. The free kick, that would have been amazing. It would have been a beautiful free kick. The crossing, the delivery, oh my gosh. 8.
Can I be honest with you? Can I be honest?
Yeah.
This is Mystic Marcus coming to life. I predict a Bruno Fernandes agenda. I do. I think you're going to have 2 types of United fans going forward. Well, 3 types of United fans. The first one is the ones who don't really care and they're just positive all the time. So they're positive to whoever's wearing a red shirt. The second kind of United fan is an intelligent United fan, and there's no disrespect, obviously. By intelligent, I mean they can recognize a good footballer when they see one. And then you're going to get this third type of United fan, the type of United fan that has an agenda on Martial and Pogba and all the players who are a victim of this poor system. I think Bruno Fernandes was amazing today, even when he didn't get the ball, because throughout that first half, I watched this guy run into spaces where I don't see a lot of United players running and telling people what to do. Not like yelling at people, but just intuitively when you play football. If me and Shawnee are playing together, right, in a team, right, and Shawnee gets the ball, and I make a run left, Shawnee's not going to make a run left because he can see me making the run left, so I'm going to go right. And that's what I saw Bruno Fernandes doing for a lot of players today. He filled in so many spaces and made the team better. just by running into the right spaces. And when I saw that, I was like, wow. And it's the similar thing with Martial's hold-up play and what Martial does off the ball when he's energetic and when he's up for it. And I think there's no stats to show that. And that's why I think an agenda is going to develop with this guy. If he doesn't get goals and he doesn't get assists, people are going to think he's trash and they're going to overlook that. And that could happen because today is Exhibit A. He didn't get, besides the cross to Harry Maguire and the free kick, he wasn't really involved that much, actually involved in the goals, and in the chances. But he was involved in the pass to assist, in the lead up, in the build up, in getting into spaces, and I was mesmerized. I think he had an amazing game.
Yeah, I think his smart manager was right. Telling all of that, this guy's not a 10, he's 8. Those are all attributes for a brilliant number 8. He's not the type of guy to just stick there and make the final pass. He's the guy who controls the midfield and does the things that people don't notice. Kind of how De Bruyne kind of did that in that 100-point season, where he'd be the guy who passed to the guy who assists. Nowadays, he's more the assister. That's Bruno Fernandes.
Bruno reminds me so much of what Xavi and Iniesta used to do for Barcelona. You know, it was always Messi and Sanchez and someone else who got the assist and the goal, but the build-up, that pass, that play, that intricate little 1-2 stuff that we saw between Fred and Bruno today, before the actual goal, it's brilliant. And that's why I say there's going to be an agenda against this guy. You're going to get the people who don't appreciate the tactical side of football and the people who just want to see your name on the score sheet before they recognize that you're a good player. And I think it's unfortunate, but I think that's going to happen with Bruno Fernandes because it happens with Pogba all the time. Pogba supposedly is one of the best in the Premier League in terms of stats, and if you just watch United, you don't even need the stats. If you just watch United, you'll know how important Pogba is. If you can recognize, if you have a tactical mind and you can recognize what makes a team tick. If you can't, and you're just one of those fans who just loves flashy stuff, then you're going to have an agenda against this guy. I genuinely believe that, but yeah, he reminds me so much. And you're spot on because he's a team player. He does the dirty work that nobody wants to do. A lot of people in this United team want to be on the end of the pass or want to be the guy passing to get the assist for the goal. But this guy doesn't mind laying it off and getting into a better position and making the dummy run. He doesn't mind making the dummy run and not being directly involved in the goal. And I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah. But I don't want to sound like I'm Bruno FC, even though I am. So let's move on. Martial, out of 10.
2. Now, people were hating on my boy Martial, you understand? But he does what a striker does. Bruno came in second game. He doesn't have to. I think Martial realized now, even in the break, I'm sure his chemistry with Bruno developed a lot. And I think he's like, okay, I don't have to do so many jobs now. Now I can have a chance to sit in the box. First time Martial's in the box, I see him in this whole season. I finally see him there in that box as a cross comes
just
in, and he scores. And I'm like, there we go. That's Shorty's textbook of how to play football 101. You learn how to do that. The striker is in the box. You cross the ball and he puts it in. That's it. That's all he just did, and that's what he did. And he's a striker. So 7 out of 10. Martial was great. He did what he had to do.
It's funny you bring that up, Rita. Before you get to your rating, I want to just say this. I heard someone say that I'm not going to expose them, obviously, but I heard someone say that Martial actually had a terrible game besides the goal, and I was like, that's funny because when Rashford scores, you never talk about the rest of Rashford's game. You just talk about the goal. Why don't you talk about the goal with Martial as well? And I think, again, this goes back down to whether you have a football mind or not, or whether you have an analytical mind or not. Strikers don't have to have good games. They just need to get the goal. That's their job. That is their job. That is literally the definition of a striker. You just need to score once, or however many times your team needs you to score in order to win. And in a game where your team kept a clean sheet, 1 goal is enough. Luckily, we won 2-0, but 1 goal would have been enough anyways. Like that one Martial goal would have been enough. And people don't get it. They think strikers need to play like the whole game. They need to be hitting shots. They need to be scoring hat-tricks, game in, game out. No, that's not how it works. You just need that 1 goal. You need that 1 moment.
Yeah. I can see why people might say he had a bad game. But I think a lot of it's down to the system. I think when you play the 5 at the back and you don't play 3 up front, you don't have clear attackers on all the sections of for the field. So you left a situation where the 2 strikers have to keep splitting and come back in the middle and splitting. So it's kind of difficult to be a striker who is always in position and ready for the ball to come into the box when you have to do that. It's like an extra load. But he did very well because he did end up getting in the right position and scoring that header. So, yeah.
That was a good header. It was a good header.
Yeah, it was a very good header. So for that alone, I think he deserves a 7.
Dude, it's the same with Rashford, dude. Rashford, you know, like 90% of Rashford's goals, or like 80% of Rashford's goals, if you actually watch Manchester United, they never came from brilliant, intricate 1-2 play. It was Rashford getting the ball and being like, okay, I need to find a way of scoring so that we can get the 3 points and go home.
Just put through it.
Yeah, and then he puts his foot through it, he misses. He puts his foot through it, he misses. He puts his foot through it, he misses. And then by the 7th time, it goes in. And now Rashford's had a good game. It's almost the same thing. The difference is Martial plays in the middle, so his back is to goal. And obviously, like you said, the system plays a part. But I don't even think people who say Martial had a bad game are looking at the system. I think they're just biased. Because if Rashford had scored that goal, people would be saying Rashford had a great game. And it's like, it's just not true. It's just not true.
It's funny you say that, because whenever we speak about Rashford in his previous form, I always say that I need to see more from Rashford as well. I never bash him as much as people bash Martial, but I just say, like, you know, he could have done
but you see, you're justified because you give a valid reason as to why you need to see more. Rashford can improve his gameplay. That's a fact, you know. Whether you like Rashford the way he is now or not, you can't deny that he can improve. So I think that's completely valid. But when people talk about Martial having a bad game, sometimes they're not even looking at the system, or they're not even being objective. They're actually just being biased. Because I'm telling you, bro, if Rashford was in the same shoes as Martial, if Martial got injured and Rashford was playing in the number 9, and Martial was the one with the stress fracture, and Rashford was the one who was having a crap game but he scored the goal, we'd all be sat here saying, wow, Marcus Rashford saved us today. He got us the 3 points. Because that's what we've been doing for the last year when Rashford scored all these 19 goals. Even in the game against Burnley, people had an agenda against Martial when we won 2-0. But Rashford only scored in the 90th minute to make it 2-0. And Rashford didn't even score a brilliant goal. It was a tap-in at the other end, off a counter. But nobody spoke about how bad Rashford was that game. Everybody spoke about how Martial was just lucky to get that goal. Those who have the Martial agenda. So, you know, like, I completely agree with you, by the way. I'm just saying. I think people who hate on Martial aren't even looking at the football. They're just blindly doing it because they can. And I don't get it.
Yeah, if you have a Martial agenda, your life must be pretty sad. I'm just saying.
Bro, like, anyone who says Martial's a crap footballer never talks, like, in terms of United fans, because obviously opposition fans think everyone at United is trash at the moment, but in terms of United fans, have you noticed people who don't like Martial and have an agenda against Martial and Pogba, they never talk about James. They never talk about all these other guys. They never talk about any of these other guys. You know, yeah, dude, like, but anyways, yeah, why not? James out of 10.
Yeah. I don't want to see James play. I don't want to see him start the next game. I'll be honest. I thought he was tired. He had a break, came back. Same thing happened. I feel sorry for him though. Like, I think there's a player in James, but I think he shouldn't start. He needs to be benched, and in training he needs to work on other things now. You know, maybe learn a skill or two, or learn a touch and go, or learn that when he's in that position, instead of going for like a no-look cross, Bruno's at the edge of the box, it's a better decision. Pass to Bruno or something like that.
People were going on, you know, maybe after the winter break he'll develop some confidence. I'm like, this guy does not need confidence. He needs to develop his game. You can have as much confidence as you want, like Pereira. You can just pull the trigger from wherever. But if you can't shoot, you can't shoot. You need to learn how to shoot. Otherwise, the confidence means nothing. So this guy's a one-trick pony. He's not playing badly because he's in bad form. He is in bad form, but on top of that, he just doesn't have the tricks to pull himself out of the form.
And I see he tried a few things, like where he did a step over kind of thing, but he wanted to go switch it to the other side. It's just Rudiger is a good and experienced defender, so he knows all the tricks in the book as well.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, but I would sit James down. I'll be like, listen, you're not going to play for the next 2 games. Nothing personal, you know. This is how it was supposed to be. Develop your game, practice these things, you know. Learn something, work on things, and then just when I need you, be ready.
Drill it in, boy. Drill it in.
Just drill it in. Because I like James. I'm not going to start hating on James, especially Because when we bought James, I was like, nah, this guy shouldn't start games anyways. He's supposed to develop and come off the bench. So yeah, but in terms of today, oh my god, shocking. 4 out of 10.
I had a stink of a game today. We'll be honest.
Wow. The new Jesse Lingard. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Like, James's football intelligence at -10. It was so bad.
It was better than Lingard.
Yeah, it's better than Lingard.
Everybody's better than Lingard. Yeah, he makes some really questionable decisions. And the system, as I said, Martial, with him basically having to play 2 positions, was even worse on James. Because do you know what James is doing? Because I don't. I have no idea what James is doing.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It looks like, you know what it looks like when I was watching him? It's like, it was getting in Martial's way. It's like, what are you doing?
I didn't even see him, to be honest, because I think my stream kept cutting out whenever he had the ball. So that's GG.
Yeah. So I think he does need time off. And I think he'll understand. He's young.
Yeah,
he knows
that he knows. He said, he came out in a press conference and he said, I'm playing a lot more football than I thought. I mean, shows.
It's not his fault, but like he needs to develop his game. And it's funny because I heard the commentators talking about confidence, and I thought, here we go again, throwing around this word confidence. Like, confidence is this magical thing that once you pick it up, you become a good footballer. And I'm like, mate, sometimes it's not about confidence. Sometimes it's about skill and a bit of luck and stringing those 2 things together to create some momentum. You know, like, confidence can only get you so far. Like, you can be as confident as you want, but if you don't have people skills, you're not going to be able to make new friends. Like, confidence isn't just the key to being the life of the party. It's also having good social skills and knowing how to interact with people. And it's the same with football. If you can't pass a football, confidence is not going to magically make you Iniesta. Like, what's going to make you Iniesta if you don't have the skill set is probably having good teammates and having people that you can feed off of. And then that will create the illusion that you're better than you actually are. And then when you eventually move to a worse team, you will get exposed. Kind of like what's happening with Jesse Lingard. I don't think Jesse Lingard was as good as people think he is, but, you know.
But what I'm noticing now, and I'm going a little off topic, what I'm noticing now, the fact that Bruno is so good, and we can see it in other things, but we can still see how isolated he gets in that center. With a player like Jesse Lingard, it makes it even worse because he doesn't have all those attributes that Bruno Fernandes has.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so when Jesse Lingard was having that amazing time, he had people around him that he could feed off of, which is exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
So
that's what people don't realize. Like, when you're playing in a really good team, you can get away with a lot of stuff. Kind of like Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool. Like, he can get away with being a bad defender because he's got Van Dijk to cover for him. Like, and it's no disrespect to a lot of players. Like, you should be in a team that's good enough to help you, and so that you can help them. Like, that's the way it should be. A player like Jesse Lingard shouldn't be struggling as much as he is. He should be in a team that brings the best out of him. And so it's not a personal attack on Lingard. It's a personal attack on people who throw around this word confidence. Like, confidence is this esoteric thing that makes you a good player, and it's not. There's players who have loads of confidence, but they're just crap. And they're playing in crap teams, which doesn't help. And it annoys me. It's a pet peeve of mine. It really is. Yeah. But, sorry for the personal rant.
Yeah. In terms of rating, 1.
Is that for James?
Yeah, for James.
I was about to say that's a bit harsh, but actually I think 0 is even justified because I can't think of one thing he did right. Did he even learn a pass or something?
Nope. The one time he could have, Bruno, but he went for the cross.
I say 1. He'd sprint sometimes. So.
Yeah, he sprints.
Wait, what?
That's the one thing you'll do. He'll sprint.
Wait, what? So you're giving him marks for putting on his socks and wearing the right kit? Is that what you're giving him marks for? Because running is a basic requirement. Running is as basic as putting your socks on.
Dude, you got a better chance than James.
But I don't want to give Oli a rating to finish off. Oli. Yeah, Oli. You're not the man for the job. I will stand by that. Today I didn't think it was your tactics personally that got us the win. But, my boy, I'm going to give you a 7. And the only reason I'm giving you the 7 is you left Lingard at home. He wasn't even on the bench. I thank you for it. My hat is off. Shoni out.
I think that's a bit unfair, to be honest. I really think that's a bit unfair. And this is the controversial thing I wanted to bring up earlier. Today, I did not see an improvement from Manchester United in the final third. I did not see anything in Manchester United's final third that made me optimistic about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a manager. But defensively and in transition, I saw something. I did. And whether or not that's because of Bruno Fernandes, I don't know. But you can't have your bread buttered on both sides. You can't be a hypocrite. You can't say that a manager is terrible, their tactics are rubbish, blah, 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 blah. And then when the team actually plays well as a unit, all of a sudden it's down to individual brilliance. Well, that's the team's job. They're supposed to play to the best of their ability. It's Martial's job to score goals. So if Martial scores a goal, you can't now turn around and say, oh, no, Martial's good because he scored a goal. But when Martial doesn't score a goal, oh, it's because of the system. Well, which side are you on? Is it Martial's fault or is it the coach's fault? And are you giving the coach credit for when Martial scores? Or are you taking the credit away from the coach and saying that Martial scored because he wanted to score and because he can score? But when he doesn't score, it's now Ollie's fault. Like, you get my drift, right? And Manchester United today made it very difficult for Chelsea to break them down. And I have to admit, that's down to tactics. Because the way Manchester United defended today was not individual brilliance. We did not get saved by a Bailey tackle or Wan-Bissaka tackle. We got saved by a unit defending well and making sure that Chelsea could not thread dangerous balls and get themselves clear-cut chances. Because even the chances with Batshuayi, some of them weren't as clear-cut as people think. Yes, he was in the box and he was in on goal, but there were red shirts there that put him off. That's why he missed. Batshuayi is not a bad player. He's not a horrendous player. On another day, he's scoring those chances. So I think you have to be a little bit fair. And I ain't saying Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is good enough for the Manchester United job. But what I am saying is I saw something today. And on top of that, we always criticize the back five for not working. Well, today, it worked. Whatever back five agenda you have, it worked today. He did not change it. He didn't take a defender off at halftime and then miraculously we scored 2 goals. No, he played a back five. We defended well, we played well in transition, and we actually got 2 really good goals. And also, another thing that I would add is, you can say that Wan-Bissaka's goal is individual brilliance, right? But is it not a wing-back's job in a back five to run down the wings and cross the ball? And is it not a number 9's job to run in and get on the end of the header? How can you not give the coaching credit for that? Because that's clearly a plan. That's literally the job of a wing-back. If I play a 4-3-3 with a cam, and the reason why we win is because our cam had a good game. Well, I put him there, genius. I told him he needs to be a cam. And yes, I may not be a Pep Guardiola who drilled a tiki-taka system, but I still deserve some credit for setting up the team the way I did. No?
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. Let's drop the Ole agenda for a little bit and give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
I ain't saying he's the right man for the job, but I saw something today. I
agree 100%. I think it's the whole Messi and Barcelona manager thing. When Barcelona plays well, it's Messi. When they play bad, it's the manager. It is an agenda. So I do
it's
think
the same with Madrid, by the way.
Yeah.
When Madrid wins the Champions League 3 times, it's Ronaldo, but then when they do badly, it's Zidane all of a sudden. But anyways, sorry.
I do think there was an improvement in Ole's tactics. I'm not saying that the tactics to go forward with and for next season and for this club going forward, but there was an improvement in his tactics. You could see that they did work on the interplay. Because it wasn't amazing, but there was better communication and it was flowing a bit better. And defensively, Chelsea had nothing today. They could not touch us defensively. So Ole does deserve credit for that. So I'll give him an 8. Like, we won.
And we kept the clean sheet against a team that's in the top 4. Yeah, I mean, look, to wrap up the show, guys, like, I want to know what your opinions are. And if you did listen to the end of the show, you're a champion. And let us know in the comments down below what you think. But I do think that we're a bit unfair on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at times, because the reality is, if you're Ole out, you're Ole out. And tonight's result's not going to change that. If you're Ole in, you're Ole in. Even if we lost today, you would have still been Ole in probably, because I don't know why you'd be Ole in after the Burnley result. And if you're Ole on shore, Well, you're probably still only unsure because we just beat Chelsea when we were expected to lose. The point is, whether you stand on one side of the fence or the other side of the fence, or you're on the fence, you can't let that blind to the objective truth. And the truth is, Manchester United were good cohesively today. That is an undeniable fact. The fact that De Gea didn't really have much to do, but there was 13 shots on goal, is that not down to good defending? Like, if your keeper has a quiet game, but then at the same time the other team is attacking, where are those shots going? If they're not going to the keeper, that means somebody's blocking them. And if somebody's blocking them, that means it's the defenders. And if it's not one player carrying the entire back four, and it's the whole back four working together, then surely that's down to tactics. I don't know. But do let us know what you think down below. Please do leave a like on the video. Please do subscribe. And we will catch you in the next one.